Joining me now, Steve Forbes, Forbes Media Chairman, and Robert Wolf, CEO of 32 Advisors, former economic advisor to President Obama. Inflation, gentlemen, let's dig into it. Robert, name something that Joe Biden and his administration have done recently to help fight inflation. Name anything.
Well, I think they've obviously loosened up the supply chain and logistics. They have, without a doubt, the strategic reserves of 1 million barrels. I think the federal tax holiday would be good. There's a lot of things they're doing, but inflation's not going to subside overnight. It's going to take months, and I think a lot of it's on the Fed's shoulders, and they've been incredibly behind the 8 ball.
I'm going to ask you this. I said this to Steve Forbes. Why didn't Joe Biden fire Jay Powell when he had the chance? Because he could have pointed at him and said, that was Trump's guy. I got rid of Trump's guy. He was the problem. I now have my own person running the Fed. Why on planet Earth did he not fire Jay Powell, Robert?
Well, that's it. Listen, I actually like Fed Chair Powell, but I think he's been wrong in the past 6 months, whether it's not reducing the balance sheet or calling it transitory or having kind of a hawkish tone, but then saying he would only go 50 basis points, only to reverse it to go 75. That being said, I don't think the Fed chair has anything to do whether it's Trump or Obama or Biden. I think it's, does he have confidence that the Fed chair and the board can execute what they need to keep the U.S. where they need to be? And the truth is they haven't done a great job.
What say you, Steve? What's Biden done to lower inflation? Or just talk to Robert. Just ignore me. I'll just sit here.
Hard to ignore you, but I'll try. But unfortunately, on both sides, whether it's non-monetary inflation or monetary inflation, the Biden administration's been a real obstacle. On the non-monetary side, waging war against fossil fuels is ridiculous. Having the SEC and other agencies having these climate obsessions, which are putting barriers in the way of future investment because you need confidence for future investment. Blaming everyone but themselves, truck drivers and everybody else, meat packers and everything. It's ridiculous. On the Federal Reserve side, it's not just the last 6 months. In early 2021, when it was clear we were recovering from the COVID crisis, the Federal Reserve was creating $120 billion of new money each month and then using a gimmick, overnight borrowing, to try to mitigate it. But why were they creating $2 trillion of extra money when they knew that they had a monetary problem? Even before COVID, they were creating too much money.
I would have fired him. And now, Robert, the Fed chief seems to be, well, not standing up for the president who gave him a second term. I just want to get your reaction to this. Listen to this. It's from a couple days ago.
Would you say that the war in Ukraine is the primary driver of inflation in America?
No, inflation was high before, certainly before the war in Ukraine broke out.
Robert?
I mean, I have to admit with Powell, inflation was here before the Ukraine war. Certainly the Ukraine-Russia crisis proliferated, specifically with food and gas, right? I mean, you took supply out by about 10% with Russia. You took about 25% of ag out with wheat and barley with Ukraine. So it's had an incredible impact on what I would call the two most important bookends, energy and food. But we had inflation, the minute COVID subsided, inflation was here. And I agree with Steve. I think the Fed was late to the game. But I would have couched that if I was Powell. I would have said they certainly have had an incredible impact, the Russia-Ukraine crisis, in the last 6 months.
Here's what I'm going to ask you this, and then I'll bring Steve in. In terms of Biden and company actually making inflation worse. And we could talk for days, if not weeks, about the federal gas tax holiday, but it doesn't seem like it's going to go anywhere because Democrats aren't even on board with it either. But the Biden administration extended the pause on making student loan payments in early April through August. These are stimulus checks to people, and stimulus checks to a lot of wealthy doctors and lawyers too. And at the time, inflation, when they made this decision on the student loan payment extension, at the time, inflation was running at 8.5%, and the unemployment rate was at 3.6%. Robert?
Dagan, as you know, I've been on the other side of most Democrats on this issue. I think I don't have an issue with changing federal student loan payments, but I would have it income adjusted. So I would say over the next 10 years, if you make X, you only have to pay X% of your income. I would not have done the forgiving of student loans, because I think you have to look at income base to decide whether someone should pay it back or not. And I would have done it over a longer period of time. And I actually would love to debate the federal gas tax holiday, but we can do it another time.
Well, I think that's stimulative, Steve. The gas tax holiday, it defies economics in the sense of, like, when supplies are tight, you don't want to keep demand elevated, even a smidgen.
Well, I take the attitude that the Biden administration wanting to get rid of any tax for any period of time is historic. Usually they want to raise taxes. But in terms of the Federal Reserve, unfortunately, they have the attitude the only way to conquer inflation is crushing demand, slowing the economy down, putting us into a recession, instead of finding ways to increase supply. More supply, lower prices, wages go up, everyone's happy. What the Fed is doing is austerity, and we don't need it right now.
Robert, before we go, and you can weigh in on the federal gas tax holiday or the idea of it, but are they calling you from the White House and asking your advice? Because you might be able to verbally shake some sense into them, or give them some way to message this rather than just talking about Putin's price hike.
Yeah, well, I was there last week, and I had good meetings with the NEC, the CEA, and Ron Klain, the chief of staff. And certainly I've been having a lot of conversations with the Treasury and the administration with respect to inflation, the economy. And, you know, I'm pushing for this all-in energy approach. I haven't changed my approach in over a decade. I think we need to be, you know, part renewable, but also oil and gas and fracking and nuclear. And in my opinion, we have to make sure that at the worst case scenario, we have enough to make sure we're energy independent. So I would have gone with an all-in energy approach. And I think that's the best approach to have.
And you were also the CEO of a major financial institution. And Robert, I bet you would have fired Ron Klain too by now.
I'm a big fan of Ron, so you know, you and I would probably disagree on that one, but
I'm a nobody. You know, I hang out with dogs on the weekend, literally, and but I still don't understand what the heck's going on in that White House. But I'm, you know, just an observer.
Well, I'm going to try to keep inserting myself.
Okay, Robert Wolf, a pleasure, sir. Steve Forbes,
thank you.
A pleasure, sir.
Thank
Good to
you.
see both of you. Have a wonderful weekend.